Hey guys, this is Shane. Welcome to my Curator of the Lost channel. Today, hey, let's take a step back, and if you're thinking about selling books, or if you're already in the book selling game, or really any kind of online selling, let's take a step back and let's look at what we're doing and ask ourselves the question: where do we want to go with this? What's the next step in my business, my selling, my book resell adventure, and what's the scalability issues with that? And do I understand them, and am I prepared to execute on those and have some realistic self-evaluation on what you can put into it, as well as kind of what maybe some of the limitations are in your area, your situation, on really just meeting the numbers game and feeding the beast. Okay, it's a topic we visit every so often, but for new viewers or somebody, if you haven't thought about this on your own business and your own journey in a while, it's always good to kind of do that 360 and take stock, right? So, you know, people are successful in doing online sales and resale and specifically on books as a full-time job. There are lots of people that are very successful at it. I don't do this full-time. I do it as a side gig. It's just something I enjoy doing. But, you know, the reality is if you are doing it as a full-time job, there's a lot of pressure. Just like any business, you are running a business. We've said this before. If you're doing this, you're running a business. You may not visualize yourself as a business owner, but you are. All right. But if you're, it's one thing doing this book resales or any kind of resale as a side gig, make extra income, and it's a very powerful tool to do that. But if you're doing this as your primary income, it can be a grind at any time, but it can especially be a grind there because, as we say, you have to feed the beast, right? And there's just a simple numbers game that you have to do to cover what you need each month. And those, you know, the things that you need keep coming, and you have to find the books and sell the books. And it becomes a matter of scalability on where you want to take it. So, you know, it's important to just step back and look at that. So let's just think about the numbers, okay, first. Let's just say that you're wanting to replace, if it's let's just say a $15 an hour type job, 40 hours a week. That would be $600 a week, okay? If you can make an average profit after all your fees, cost of goods, fees on eBay or Amazon, if you can make $20 a book, which all your books are not going to be that way, but what you want to do is have an average of, say, $20 profit per book. You're going to sell some that you're only going to make $10 or $15 on. You're going to sell some that you make $30 or $40 on. But just for math and for you to understand the problem, if you haven't done this, get out pencil and paper, put it in a spreadsheet, look at it. If you're selling average profit, not sales, profit, okay, before everything but taxes, and then we're not going to worry about taxes because, you know, you make your pay at, say, your $15 or $20 an hour job, they're going to take taxes out. You got to do the same for yourself. So everything paid for except for taxes. If you're trying to cover for a $15 an hour job for 40 hours a week, you've got to sell 30 books a week at $20 average. If you want to generate $1,000 a week income, all expenses paid except for taxes, at a $20 average profit per book, that's 50 books a week, right? So here's what you have to ask yourself if you're thinking about doing this, or if you're wanting to get to that level, say $1,000 a week profit. Are you finding 50 books a week now? Because if you're selling 50 books a week, you have to replenish that stock. And the other thing is if you are, you know, let's just use like a 4% sell-through number. To sell 50 books a week, if you have a 4% sell-through, which is pretty good on the book market. Some people will be lower, some people will be higher. I average around 4% on eBay, you know, however they do the sell-through on clicks and all. It's, you know, conversion rates, whatever those fancy words are, right? You need about 1,200 books in your inventory, right? And the reality is probably, you know, if it's a little lower than that, and if your average profit per book is a little less than the $20, you're going to need more books than that. You're going to need, you know, you're going to need more like 1,600 books at least in your inventory. And you're going to have to be every week. You have to feed the beast, man. You have to find them, source them, get them out there. So here's the deal. And this is just the pure numbers game, right? The first thing is just, if you're thinking about doing this, especially if you're going to do it full time, is, are you currently finding those books? And the consideration is, if you don't have your inventory built up and you don't have the quantity coming in every week so that you can resell that number and keep that stock up of good quality books, then you have to ask yourself, what can I do to change that? And that's kind of the purpose of this video, is to get you to the next step. If you're finding 10 books a week, how can you get that to 20 or 30 or 50? If you only have 500 books in your inventory, how can you get that to 1,000, 1,500? And if you do not have the sourcing in your, there's the source side and the sales side, and then all the stuff in between, right? So first off, on the source side, can you find that number of books in your area? Will your estate sales, thrift store, library bookstores, flea markets, all the places that you're hitting, Facebook Marketplace, can you find that number of books? And that number, again, is going to oscillate depending on what your average sales price is, average profit price, ultimately, right? It's what we're really interested in. On top of that, think of storage, like my shelves behind me. If you're doing this as a merchant fulfilled on Amazon or on eBay, where you're doing it all yourself, think about the storage. How many books do you have now? Do you have the capacity in your house, or do you have space in a shed, or is there a are you in a storage unit or whatever? To what does your space look like? Because as you grow, there's going to be impact there. Also think about on your time and your supplies. If you're selling a small number of books now and you're just totally reusing boxes, and you bump up from 10 to 50, reusing boxes or mailers, you may have to actually start purchasing that stuff, right? Also think about how much time and your processes for how you're getting things shipped out, and how are you going to do that if it doubled or tripled. These are all things to think about and plan, and regardless, if you want to get there, you consider these things and you figure out how you're going to get there. Also, you think about, well, okay, another solution or another thing you have to think about is, can I really feel like I can get there on one sales channel? Or do I have to go eBay and Amazon? So for me this year, one of my things was, if you haven't watched me for long time eBay seller, and I finally got into Amazon, and I'm doing it with Fulfilled by Amazon, FBA. And my reasoning for that was some of these things, right? I want to increase the number of sales that I'm making, but I don't want to have the storage overhead and my time to do the individual book shippings out. So I want to take advantage. I'm doing all my eBay things where I handle it myself, and it's here out of my office. But then Amazon, I'm sending them in, letting them do Fulfilled by Amazon, and it's working for me. What I'm seeing is, even building my Amazon inventory, I'm up to 250, 280 books or something. I just sent in another box, maybe up like 280. But then I'm selling too. And then what I'm selling on eBay, it's that feeding the beast. It's like I need to source more to get those numbers up, right? So it's something that I have to work on going forward, is if I want to build that Amazon inventory, to 1,000 books, that's my goal in the short term, is to get at least 1,000 books. I have to feed that beast. I have to source more. I am sourcing more, and I'm growing it, but not as fast as I want. So that's something I have to do. So anyway, that's it. It's just a reminder. If you're selling and you're happy where you're at, and if that's, you have 100 books or 5 books or 5,000 books, it doesn't matter. If you're happy where you're at, then congratulations, that's awesome. But most of us, there can be some inertia, and it's really good to look forward and say, what do I like and what do I want to change, and where do I want to take this? And if you're a hobbyist, that's great. If you're a collector and just doing it to generate some extra income, or you're just doing it as a little side gig to pay off something or earn extra income, that's great. But if you're thinking about making that leap to the next stage, think about the steps. Think about feeding the beast. Think about the pure numbers. Scratch it out on paper. Look at what you're selling now and what your average price is for the things you're selling. If you're selling stock that you have a much higher average profit, then your book numbers are going to go down. It's simple math, right? What I want to make, divide your average profit, that gives you the number of books. And then, look at your sell-through rate. if it's 3% or if it's 5%, what it is, it's going to drive how many books you're going to need to source, what kind of inventory you're going to have, and what you think your profit potential is. If you want to do that scale and the scalability, just look at that math. And if you want to make $500 a week, or you want to look at $5,000 a week, it's you know, it's all the same, and it boils down to how much stock you can get, how much stock you can get out there to sell, and what that average price is. And then just wash, rinse, repeat, as they say, right? So anyway, if you haven't thought about it, food for thought. You know, just it's self-evaluation. It's always healthy. That's how you get better. And remember, see cool, buy cool. Thanks for the channel support. Look forward to your comments, perspective. If you hadn't hit the subscribe button, hit it. Keep viewing. I'll keep making these, and we'll just see what happens. So again, thanks, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.